the last thing that we're going to cover in this section of material is talking about translating words into algebraic expressions. And there are actually, it's just like translating into Spanish or into French or something like that. You are literally taking one word in standard English and you are going to change it over to a mathematical symbol because, these words all have a mathematical representation. They are all mathematical words. Whenever you hear, added to, that means you are adding things. That's a mathematical operation. So this list right here is extremely important that you understand these words and you understand which mathematical operation that they represent, because that's extremely important. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take these and we're going to do some translating ourselves. So we have an example here that says 16 decreased by a number. And what we're going to do is we're going to take and we're going to change that into a mathematical statement. Well, if you look at your list of things, decreased by is one of your kind of key words. And decreased by is just another way of saying subtraction. Now think about how you subtract items. You can only subtract two things at a time, right? So we have to figure out what two things are we subtracting. Well, we're subtracting 16, which they told us, and a number. 16 decreased by, meaning subtract from it, some number. Well, we don't know what the number is, so we're going to let x be our placeholder for that. Remember, variables hold the place of a number, so we're going to call it x. Now, you could have called it n or y or anything you wanted to, but because the directions specifically said use x to represent a number, that's what we did. So 16 decreased by a number, written in standard English words, we would change to 16 minus x in mathematical symbols. Okay, our next example says, again, write the following phrase as a variable expression and use x to represent a number. So let's see what we have here. We have the sum of. Well, right there is a key word that we need to know. Sum of means addition. Now, when you add things, you can only add two things at a time. So we need to decide what are we adding together. We're adding 4 and a number. So when we write that in mathematical symbols, it would be 4 plus x. Now that's only the very first part of this sentence. We still have more to go. So the next part of it says now we're going to add that to, there again is another one of our key words. That tells us to plus, or to use addition. But what are we adding to it? The product of. The product of is a key word for multiply. And what are we multiplying? We're multiplying 10 and a number. So we write that out in symbolic form. 10, the product of 10 and a number would be the same thing as saying 10 times x. Now, because we are taking and we are adding this thing to this thing, we probably want to use parentheses around that first item, the 4 plus x, just so we can make sure that we know that we're adding these two things together. And then to kind of clean it up a little bit, make it look a little bit better for your answer form, you might want to say that is 4 plus x plus 10x.